Hello! Oh boy, are we doing this? We're doing this. I am here. Greetings, everybody, and I hope I hope you've been enjoying this. I hope you've been enjoying the stream here from MomoCon. My name is Insane on the Rain. I am here on the behalf of Zeldathon, which is a community of a wonderful community of gamers, like just a lot of people who like Zelda stuff. Zeldathon is a charity group that does a usually a twice annual charity marathon of pretty much all the Zelda games, and we play through the games. And we raise money for charity. It's a ton of fun. However, I am not playing a game right now. I'm playing music from games. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm gonna play. I don't know if there's a way I can see if there's any like donation comments that I can read for song suggestions. But I can also take suggestions from the chat. Basically, I'm here for the next 20 or so minutes to give you a nice dose of video game music, which we all know and love. So let's do this one. I don't think those are quite all the right notes. I'm pretty close. Yes.
As well as we can get them. Oh, you're sending me audio.
Would you like to? Oh, sorry. Oops, I did the wrong one. Hold on. Here we go. I'm just turning on Discord so the stream can hear it. Would you like to reiterate that? Whatever you just said? Why is this? Okay, now I think I actually have you on the stream.
If you want to donate to Free America on the MomoCon channel, pass on song suggestions for Carlos, and he will play your songs.
I can confirm that was audible on the live stream. Oh man, thank you. I am you see, I went to college for music, and I learned how to plug cables into the right spot. And it's a little different doing it on my computer, but I'm doing it here. Hello everybody in the chat. Greetings. It's good to be here, and also I love playing music for these charity events because it's just like I get to access the wide breadth of music that I have in my brain. What's another? Oh, here's a good video game too.
got a 50 euro, or is it pound? 50 pounds anonymous donation in.
Wow.
No comment, but big thanks to them.
50 is it the is it like the weird E?
It's pound sterling. We're not euros. We're
Okay,
pound sterling.
I don't know my my European currency symbols. This is gonna be such an awful segue. However, there's a game that I really like with a lot of European voice actors in it, and that game is called Xenoblade Chronicles. That's my awful segue. What anime is this from? This is from the anime Xenoblade Chronicles. Yes, the anime Xenoblade Chronicles is my favorite, my favorite animated series. Gosh, what's the anime that I've watched recently? Xenoblade Season 3. Yeah. There's a, I don't watch a whole lot of anime myself, but the one I did watch was called Carol and Tuesday, which is it's an anime about these two girls who are doing a music career on Mars in the future, when music is composed by AI. And there's one song. Well, there's a couple songs that I really like. I'm trying to remember if I remember the intro. Well, I remember this one. I don't remember the verse. It's like a da 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 if you actually wanted, if my singing voice was good enough, or I would be good enough to do it on stream, then that would be fun. Everyone watched Studio Ghibli movies and knows the songs. This is also true. One of my favorites is I don't. Those aren't the right chords. But I'm getting close. It's like that's a One Summer's Day from the movie Spirited Away. A similar composition to Inochi no Namae, which is the I believe the credits theme from that same movie. My favorite Ghibli theme though is actually reminder that if you do donate to Feeding America via the Tiltify link that Knifebot's having, you can submit a direct song request to me and access my vast repertoire of knowledge inside my gargantuanly sized brain. Like my brain is huge. I will humbly proclaim that my brain is massive, and I would love it if you use your funds to support charity and help me and help raise and hear a song that you like. I'll keep playing Castle in the Sky. This is the best part. This song popped into my head. This is a song that I think this next song kind of defines, I don't know, defined the year for a lot of people, or was a beacon of light in a very dark moment hit. Donation that says, Carlos, play Radiohead. Alternatively, if that is knowledge is not in your massive brain, Heart Code Soul Silver, Viridian Forest for National Park. Oh, I know, like, I played one Radiohead tune. It's, like, called Body Snatchers or something. I kind of know Creep, but, like, not well enough to play it on the piano. But I do know National Park. Oh, National Park. I love that tune. It's such a classic. Like, for a song that was written for the Game Boy, it sounds amazing. My very short time with you is actually wrapping up pretty soon. I was told to play 20 minutes of music, and knowing me, like, I want to play more like 2 hours of music, but such is life for a musician, I guess, or a musician who likes playing music. Up next after me, my friend a gymnast is going to be doing is it a speed run of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword? I have actually never played Skyward Sword. I'm a fake gamer who I know some stuff about the game. There's like a bird, there's some sky, and you like hold the Wiimote and you swing it or something. But to wrap up, I'll play a song from Skyward Sword just to bring you guys in. The one I know off the top of my head is Thank you all so much for listening. Gymnast is up next, and I'm going to play you guys out. The Picardy third. Excessive arpeggios make you sound like a better piano player. Oh, whoa, I didn't mean to play that one. Thank you everybody for your time and letting me play for you. I hope the rest of the MomoCon event goes well. keep raising money for charity. And thank you for having me play some music for you guys. Up next is Gymnast playing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Socks, or Socks in the Air. Sword, point your Wiimote in the sky. I point my Wiimote in I put my Wiimote in the air sometimes, saying ayo, da ayo. So da 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 da.
Excellent.
That was one of the worst things I've ever done.
It's okay. I enjoyed it.
All
But
right.
yes, there will be swords. They will be pointed skyward. There will also be birds. I don't know about the socks. I think Link might have some of those. But
I was looking for a word that started with S.
okay,
and
well, yep.
Socks came to mind.
Socks is a very good word. Very important thing to wear.
Oh man. Best
Anyway.
of luck, Jim.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Thank you very much for your music as well. I enjoyed listening to the Ballad of the Goddess again.
Again. You're very welcome.
Thank you. All right.
As Jim's getting started here, by the way, just so everybody out there knows, reading donations for us during this run, we will have Jess. Jess, welcome.
Hello, hello. We've had a couple of donations. Shout out to Pick Up and Play, Ginger Ninja, and then shout out to our anonymous donations who have been kind of frequent here right at the start. So they've been requesting some music for the first part.
Perfect. All right. Tell us about the run, Jim.
About the run. All right, well, Skyward Sword any percent is, it's something. This run is going to spend roughly 30% of its total runtime on the title screen. Because there's one very big glitch in this game that takes place on the title screen called Back in Time, which we will be seeing a lot of. I'm also going to be playing on the Japanese version of Skyward Sword. The Japanese version simply has faster text, so the run is about 5 minutes shorter than it would otherwise be on, say, the English text. So that's why we use Japanese.
I didn't know it was that big of a time save.
Yeah, it's pretty big in Skyward Sword. The Japanese text actually just, like, in addition to there being less text, it simply scrolls across the screen faster than, like, other languages for some reason. Not really sure what that's about, but it's fast, so we use it. Also, is there a timer that you need me to count down for anywhere, or am I just gonna start?
You're just gonna go for it.
We're gonna go. Alright, then we shall begin in 3, 2, 1, go. So, we're also playing on the Hero mode of Skyward Sword. And in Hero mode, we get to do this great thing called skipping cutscenes, which is very important for a speedrun, because we don't really want to watch all these cutscenes. There are also other perks of Hero mode. We can take damage twice as fast, which is actually very useful for this run, as we'll soon find out. And we also have a more powerful Skyward Strike from our sword. Alright, so to start things off, we're going to talk to our boy Fledge over here. This does absolutely nothing for the story of the game, but it is actually very important that we do that. So, in Skyward Sword, or in pretty much all video games, right? The video games have to keep track of the player making progress. And part of the way that Skyward Sword tracks us making progress is through what are known as scene flags. Scene flags are basically just an individual, or each scene flag is an individual bit in memory that corresponds to some event happening within, like, the current map that Link is on. So by talking to Fledge, we set a specific scene flag bit in memory. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's actually somewhat important to understand how scene flags work in this game, because they're very important to the back-in-time glitch on the title screen that I mentioned earlier. Alright, so like a good Skyloft citizen, Link is gonna go and save his professor's remlet. This also has absolutely no bearing on the story whatsoever, but we need to set these scene flag bits, because they are important. So we shall run up this box, go and pick up the remlet, and take it back to our professor. Save the animals.
Skyward Sword has undergone quite a transformation as a run, and this is something that quite unique.
Yeah, also, if you have any questions, MC, or anyone else who might join the call has any questions, feel free to ask them. Having played this game for so long, there are definitely some assumptions that I might end up making about, like, people's knowledge of the game, so... We'll always be open to more questions.
Because this game is one that's pretty linear as played normally, and very strict with the order of things you must be played. There's a few individual choices that can be made sometimes, but as you can see by the power of Link jumping to his death a few times, things are going to start getting weird.
Yeah, that's true. For anyone who's wondering, this run, if done well, should take less than an hour and a half, so only 90 minutes. We're about 3 minutes in right now. Anyway, now that we're dead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be hitting continue on the game over screen, and then I'm going to reset the console. And what this is going to do is, it's instead going to try to respawn Link on the title screen. So Link's just going to kind of fall down here into the title screen. And this is known as Back in Time, where we can essentially play on the title screen. Back in Time is an extremely powerful glitch because while we're playing on the title screen, we have the ability to select files while we're playing around. And selecting files while being able to play around will drastically change what information is being loaded in memory at this specific point. So for instance, I now selected file 1, and I'm going to go and save at this bird statue over here. Just like this. And so now I've actually saved file 1 onto this weird washed out version of the Skyloft map. And that will be important in just a moment. As I go over here to the goddess statue. Back in Time. As I go into this loading zone, I'm gonna start my file right before the loading transition begins. This does nothing other than just simply speed up the load. That happens into the goddess statue. I'm not entirely sure why starting a file right before a load begins makes the load faster, but it does. So if you see me starting files right before loading transitions, that's the reason why. Okay. So we got the goddess sword in Back in Time. This is not going to make its way onto our gameplay file because of the fact that we got it in Back in Time. The only way that we can transfer flags from Back in Time onto our gameplay file is if we have the flags set themselves right as the file is fading out after starting the file. So that's actually what we're going to be doing right up here with the Farron light pillar as I place in the emerald tablet here.
And
so
this is going to essentially trick the game into thinking that you put in the emerald tablet on the file rather than...
Yes, that's correct. So this trick name is called Reverse Bit Magic. There is a reason it's called that, but it's a bit of a historical reason, because obviously there's no actual magic going on here. But now, right as the Farron pillar forms up, I start my file. And now the Farron pillar is considered to be open on my gameplay file, despite the fact that this file has never actually, gotten the goddess sword or put in the emerald tablet or has the hero's clothes at all. But now that I'm actually on my gameplay file, I'm gonna go and collect the goddess sword. Because believe it or not, there is a sword in Skyward Sword, and the sword is necessary for a lot of things. And so after we get the goddess sword here, I'm going to be skyward striking the goddess crest to actually raise up the tablet pedestal, but then I'm going to immediately turn around and leave because I do not want to go through the process of placing the emerald tablet again right here.
Because that flag is already set. You already basically have the emerald tablet placed.
That is true. Although the real reason that we wanted the Farron pillar open without having... specifically without having gotten the heroes closed and placed the emerald tablet is because what we're essentially going to be doing is I'm going to be setting up my files in such a way so that I will specifically have a file which gains the ability to dive off of my Loftwing before I actually get a Loftwing. So that sounds maybe very weird and specific, but it is necessary for setting up the beginning of the run here.
And at this point, like you mentioned, this is all set up for pretty much the future of what we need to do to get to the end of the game.
That is correct. So the end condition for the Skyward Sword any percent speedrun is to beat Demise, who is the final boss of the game. And there's basically a long list of, I guess you could say, glitch requirements for us to do that with this route. There's a lot of things that need to be put in place for everything to work out correctly memory-wise if we want this route to work. So that goes back to, like, at the beginning of the run, why I just talked to Fledge randomly, or why I saved the Professor's Remlet at the beginning of the game. And speaking of other random things we're going to do, we are now going to enter Kukiel's house. It's a very nice house. And then we're just going to instantly leave. I'm not sure why, but the game sets a scene flag for leaving this house. It doesn't do that for any other houses, but this one was necessary, I suppose. Alright, so a little information about movement. Typically, sprinting will be the fastest option for when we want to move around somewhere, since sprinting is obviously faster than just walking around. If we have excess stamina that we can use, then we do want to use it up specifically with rolling, and we also want to always start our movement with rolling, because rolling is the fastest acceleration option that we have. Although, if you compare rolling, like consecutive rolling, to just sprinting, each roll will only save a single frame over sprinting. So it's not, you know, extremely important that we try to get in, you know, as many rolls as possible. We also did intentionally take more damage here because we're going to be dying again. If I don't unintentionally die in this run, I'm going to be dying at least 22 times. Just for the record. And now we're meeting Zelda. Alright, so this is right before we normally save our Loftwing in the story progression. Right now, I'm actually going to copy the file that I have onto file 3. Because I still need to have a file saved that has not saved the Loftwing. That was a weird sentence. But, so we're going to copy this to file 3, and then we're going to go back to file 1, and I'm going to save the Loftwing on file 1. Alright, so this is specifically because I need to have both a file that has the Loftwing on it and a file that does not have the Loftwing on it, so that I can go and get the ability to dive off of my Loftwing on a file back in time. Use our sword to cut up these ropes, and now our Loftwing has been freed.
Would you mind letting us know the next chance you get that we can talk about the upcoming raffles? Or the raffles that are currently going on?
Yeah, I can probably do that in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes should be good. Alright, so right here, this is the Loftwing tutorial. It's basically an auto-scroller. Zelda's basically just gonna be like, hey, did you know that your Loftwing can fly? It'll be like, yes. The Loftwing does indeed go airborne. Yeah, so it's basically just text auto-scroller. But you'll notice that the Farron pillar is open right now, right? Normally the Farron pillar should not be opened this early into the story, but because we used the reverse bit magic technique to apply it to our file, it is considered to be open. And that will become important in just a moment here. Alright, so following this tutorial, there's usually a long cutscene that happens before the wing ceremony. I'm going to be attempting to skip that cutscene by side-hopping out of the trigger within a 2-frame window, so let's see if I can get that here.
That's a great trick.
Alright, very good. So, yeah, there's 2 frames before the cutscene starts that you have control of Link, and you can just kind of side-hop out of the trigger, so that was good.
I accidentally did that once on one of my casual playthroughs, and I completely forgot that it was a possible thing you could do. I was just mashing, like, while holding the target.
Yeah, I could see that happening in a casual playthrough. At least if you're just randomly mashing buttons. Alright, now it's time to do Back in Time again. This time, I'm going to be doing what's known as a file duplication. So I selected file 2 back there, and now I'm going to go over and save at this bird statue after opening up the title screen one more time. And this is going to copy file 3's contents onto file 2, but it's still going to treat file 2 as if it's a new game file, right? So you can see that file 2 doesn't have like a hearts or a file name or any of that stuff on it right now. And this is important because I'm going to be performing a trick known as a reverse bit warp with file 2. And I really want to have the information that's on file 3 to reverse bit warp with, but I specifically need the property of it being a new game file that I'm using right here to reverse bit warp with. So I'm going to start this file just as I get onto my Loftwing. And because file 2 is basically a copy of file 3's contents, this file does not have a Loftwing yet. But we still get one if we load into the sky, so that's pretty cool. And we specifically need to go over and hit this phi trigger that's in front of the Farron pillar. This phi trigger is what gives us the ability to dive off of our Loftwing. But remember, this file hasn't saved our Loftwing yet, which is what we were setting up for, so that's good. And now that we got that...
Can enter.
No, actually. Instead, we will take damage, and we will fly past the Farron pillar to these Octoroks over here, who will also deal damage to us. And then we will die again. Right, so the last place that this file was saved at was actually down beneath the waterfall cave. So it's actually faster to just die out in the sky after getting the ability to dive off of our Loftwing. And then go and save our Loftwing again. I guess our Loftwing got trapped again, so gotta cut the ropes.
But now we get time to read those prizes out.
Yes.
Go for it, Jess.
Sure. Coming up, this section, you've got awesome prizes donated from our sponsors. Fight Crab, Momocon Lanyard Pack and T-shirt, Torto, Cursed Divine, Gunpig, Costume Kingdom for PS4, ABS versus the Blood Queen, and a short hike. And if you donate $5 or more, you're entered in the raffle for these prizes.
And that's until the end of this segment, the end of the run?
Until 6 p.m.
Gotcha. All your donations do go over to Feeding America, so make sure you head over to the donate page and get that entry in. $5. Not too much to enter in for those prizes.
If you entered with $20 or more, you're also entered in a raffle for a Vertigear chair we're giving away at 10 p.m. as well.
Oh, nice. So, Jim, I see we're entering in the pillar now, but we also have a text on screen. What's that about?
Yes, so this file has never gone through the Loftwing tutorial, which means that the Loftwing tutorial is what gets loaded when we save our Loftwing here. And because we now have the ability to dive off of our Loftwing during the Loftwing tutorial, I can instead enter the Farron pillar during the Loftwing tutorial. And this is important because we specifically want a file where we can dive off of our Loftwing, but also loads into the Loftwing tutorial whenever we go back to the sky. Because in Back in Time, that is the only layer of the sky, practically at least, that will not crash the game when we try to load it. So, the logic is very complicated behind this, but that's the reason we needed that. And now we're going to save and do Back in Time again by taking some damage down here into the sealed grounds. This is actually a state of the sealed grounds you're never supposed to see. This is Sealed Grounds Layer 0, which is missing quite a few actors. It's also missing the ceiling spike in the center. If you caught that out of like the corner of the screen about 15 seconds ago. So it's actually not possible to progress through the sealed grounds as it currently is. But we do have the ability to progress with Back in Time. So as we start Back in Time here, I'm going to copy file 2 to file 3. And copy, there we go. And now I'm going to be doing some weird stuff. I'm going to bonk into this tree after having selected File 1. This is going to load in File 1's scene flags. If you remember, the scene flags are the individual bits that control certain state-related things on each map. And that's going to open up those gates there. I'm going to specifically check this statue with File 1 and then save over File 2, because I want File 2 to have these save coordinates of that Skyloft statue right there. And then this also loads my Loftwing, or it loads the ability for me to call my Loftwing into back in time, which I can do just like this. Now we will be flying over to the lone loading zone right here. We can enter the sky successfully in back in time without the game crashing. Now we're going to dive into the Farron Pillar again. I need to
this time with a nice logo on screen.
Yes, with a nice logo. I need to specifically make sure that I select File 1 before Link reaches the pillar. Because if we do not select File 1 before Link reaches the pillar, then the game is also going to crash again. Which is no good.
Was the bonking the tree what actually loaded the flags?
Yes, that is correct. Bonking into the tree loaded the flags.
Do you know why that is?
Yes, because bonking the tree itself is a flag. So if you cause one flag change, you'll load in the ones from whichever file you have selected.
Ah, okay.
That's how that works.
And now we're down in Farron Woods, which this was a monumental discovery for Skyward Sword, was getting here with back in time.
Yeah, that is true. So now, using our ability to load in flags from files, I was able to load in the flag for having that log pushed down, and now I can essentially just skip the entire sealed grounds section right here. A small movement trick with this log: if we push it twice, and then don't push it all the way, we can jump and get up to the platform here. And I need to specifically make sure I load Farron Woods with File 1 right there, otherwise it's going to be in a state that I do not want. And now here we are in Farron Woods. So this is normally where you meet the Kikwis for the first time. You have to save all the Kikwis, and then... If I can cut these trees, there we go. And then you get the slingshot from the Kikwi Elder Buka. But we will not be getting the slingshot. In fact, we're actually not going to get any of the items that would normally appear on the B wheel. So I completely missed that stamina fruit that I was supposed to get, but that's okay. I'm going to be deleting File 3 here, and then I'm going to save at this bird statue right after I delete File 3. This is actually going to turn File 3 into a corrupt file, so you'll notice that it has like this weird gradient character as its name right now, and it only has one heart. That will be useful later. Our next step is to again die, though. Because I actually need to reload the Farron Woods if I want to apply a specific scene flag from File 1 into Farron Woods right now. This is going to be the scene flag for having lowered the rope that leads to the deep woods, because I want to get to the deep woods next.
If you loaded that File 3 legitimately, like the corrupted file, would you actually have one heart container?
You actually have 0, so you kind of just instantly die.
Oh, cool.
Yes. But, as we've seen, death is useful in this run.
Right.
So, there will be certain points where it will be faster for me to just simply load the corrupt file, instead of, like, trying to die on my regular file. That's how this is gonna work. Alright, so now this rope is down, so we can go into the deep woods. I need to specifically load the deep woods with File 2. And then in the deep woods, I need to select File 2 again, and then I need to skip this cutscene. Link is gonna teleport to the front of the Skyview Temple now. And then as Link is walking in here, I'm going to be copying File 2 over File 1. Make sure that we don't do it too early, though. If we copy too early, then that's really bad news. We don't want that. And then I'm going to be starting File 1, and then skipping the cutscene for entering Skyview Temple, which is going to perform another reverse bit warp, but it's actually going to place me at the coordinates of the Skyloft statue that we saved at all the way back in time. Which places us pretty far into the temple. Yeah. Yes, so the Skyloft coordinates... The Skyloft coordinates in the Skyview Temple.
Huh.
What it does. So that skips an absolutely huge chunk of Skyview Temple on its own. But it also comes with the fact that there is pretty much nothing loaded. At least there are no actors loaded when we spawn in. So we have to reload the room by going into this one and then coming back out.
What's that enemy's name you just defeated? I forget his name.
That is a Staldra.
Staldra, right. Sad he has to die for our cause, but we need to load the actors.
Thankfully, this spider doesn't have to die, though. You can just cause it to swing and then jump past it. Unfortunately for this Bokoblin coming up here, though, his time is up. We will be having to shake him off the rope.
What is the expert strategy for shaking the rope here? I'm watching your webcam.
Well, pretty much, I just, like, hold the Wii Remote straight up like this, and then you just kind of do this. At least for walking back and forth. For shaking it, I kind of, like, do this action.
We're actually getting a little bit of frame drops around, but I think it's smoothing out now.
Alright.
Okay. I got the slideshow version of the Wii Remote technique.
Alright, so we don't have the slingshot, but we do actually have a projectile in the form of the Skyward Strike. So I can use the Skyward Strike to knock these vines down here. Which is a very convenient substitute for the slingshot.
Hitting those vines with the slingshot's already difficult enough, I'll be honest.
Yeah, that is true. Especially if you're trying to do it fast. So now we can get over to the boss key.
And again, a quick reminder to everybody watching, feel free to donate to Feeding America. They're doing some great work. In fact, just today, a report was put out of, I believe it was Forbes' top 100 charities in America, and Feeding America got number 2. So there's a fun fact for you all out there that it's not even on the fact sheet, but I knew about it.
It's a very good fact, I will admit.
Yeah. Excellent cause. And you can enter in to win some prizes with a $5 donation. Now, Jess, how much was that again for the Vertigear chair?
It's $20 donation for the Vertigear chair. And we'll give it away at the end.
Perfect.
Alrighty, now it's time for our first sword combat of the run. To fight good old Girahim. For this first phase, I basically just want to do quick spins followed by a stab, after I lure away his hand to the other side. And then, if I get lucky at the beginning of the second phase here, I'll be able to immediately jump slash Girahim, as long as he does not try to jump back immediately. Alright, so that's good. RNG so far. Each time that he makes himself vulnerable, I want to do a slash and then a quick spin, because Girahim actually has a damage multiplier when you attack him, specifically to the last few attacks that happen when he's vulnerable. Looks like he's teleporting now. Alright. Yeah, not too bad of a fight. Typically the fight, you want to just hope that you get the least amount of darts possible, which is 0, but 0 darts usually is pretty rare. But yeah, basically, any attack besides darts is a good attack, because it makes Girahim vulnerable right away. With the darts, you have to, like, slash them out of the way and then wait for him to be vulnerable again. So they just kind of waste time.
There we go. A semi-legitimate part of the run has been completed.
We're even gonna get the heart container.
It's almost like we're playing Zelda at this exact moment in time.
I know.
We're not playing a gymnast spreadsheet organizer.
Yeah,
Copying
hold on.
and deleting datas and flags.
Yeah, let me just organize my 2,578 flags real quick.
Which what you guys had to do when you were working on the bit magic stuff. I remember after things were discovered in Farron, there was like a ton of streams of just spreadsheets.
Yeah, it was just all spreadsheets. I mean, thankfully, by the time we figured out how to get to Farron, we had documented most of them, but
right.
Then we had to reconfirm that they would be possible to get to back in time, which was the important thing.
It reminds me a little bit of early Ocarina of Time when wrong warps were first discovered in Ocarina of Time, because we didn't really know how they worked, except so everybody was just testing every single wrong warp that they could.
Yeah. Just test every single possible location that you might be able to wrong warp to and see what happens. Eventually,
science came along and made it easier, but...
Yeah. Turns out there are these things called entrance indexes. Alright, so I saved at that save prompt right there. That is important because we're going to be doing another reverse bit warp right here. Well, almost right here. But first, I'm going to load my second file, and I'm going to do the very exciting thing of saving and quitting on this file. Very exciting. This is necessary, though, because this performs what I call changing the scene index, so that the scene index is actually correct. And to activate back in time this time, I will be loading my corrupt file, in which Link will die. Hooray.
And he's down.
He lived for 1 frame.
One glorious frame in the woods.
Let me just get my route notes up here. Okay, so we're going to be, once again, bonking into the tree to load in the scene flags from File 2. And then, with my first file, I'm going to be doing another reverse bit warp into the goddess statue. And then I will be placing the ruby tablet in the goddess statue on File 1.
And of course, the ruby tablet is what unlocks the Elden region.
That is correct, yes. So we start our file and then run into the loading zone here just as we fade out. Now we're actually on our file.
You know, so I think from an outsider perspective, what you might be seeing is like, okay, we're kind of doing the things in the right order. We're just skipping as much of the in-between bits as possible because, you know, we placed the Emerald Tablet, we went to Farron, we beat the temple, we're placing the Elden. So is that going to be the way the entire run is, or are we going to have even more funky stuff happen?
We will have lots of funky stuff happen when we get to Lanayru. But
Gotcha.
to get to Lanayru, we first need to beat Elden, or specifically beat the Earth Temple to get the Amber Tablet. And of course, the only way for us to get to the Earth Temple is to get the Ruby Tablet from Skyview Temple. And once again, we will be saving here, and I will be resetting. For some reason, after reverse bit warps, it's faster to just hit reset on the Wii console instead of, like, saving and quitting. I don't think we really know why that is, but it's just how it works. Anyway, time for more back in time. So Link's gonna die again.
A quick question, then. Does that mean currently the holy grails of Skyward Sword are possibly finding ways to obtain the emerald or the ruby tablet early?
Yeah, if you can somehow get into Lanayru early, that would be like a huge time saver. Like for Skyward Sword any percent, and probably the other categories as well.
I mean, that's been most of our runs so far, so that'd be easily a good, like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to save file 1 right here in a very specific position. And the game's gonna lag heavily because we have so much loaded on screen right now. And then I'm going to be traveling this way, and we are going to actually be entering in the Elden Pillar in back in time. More specifically, doing a reverse bit warp into the Elden Pillar with our first file. Okay, so let's see. Alright, right. So I need to do a weird glitch right here. You actually can't see the Elden Pillar right now. It's actually kind of invisible. But don't worry. It is there, and we will fly to it. I'm going to specifically call my Loftwing into this zipper right here, but because this is the Loftwing tutorial layer, it's going to kind of cause some glitchy behavior and shoot me out faster than it really should.
Oh my goodness. I swear I've watched this run before, but I've never seen that. Like, I've walked away must have every time I've seen that happen. That's good.
So with the coordinates that we saved that on Skyloft, this is going to push us into the Magma Turf loading zone in Elden, so we essentially skip the first part of having to travel around Elden. We also changed clothes. That's pretty nice. Link now has the hero's tunic. Alright, so coming up here, we need to get to the Digging Mitts, so we have to defeat all of these Bokoblins. This is where, or at least one of the parts where the Skyward Strike shines in Hero Mode. The Skyward Strike is very powerful and will just get rid of all those Bokoblins for us. This is because in Hero Mode, the default Skyward Strike is actually the same power as the Master Sword Skyward Strike in normal mode, so it's an extremely powerful combat tool early on in the game.
It's interesting that Hero Mode gives you a a tool that makes Link stronger, rather than make the game tougher, which is what it usually does.
Well, right, yeah. And the Skyward Strike continues to, like, get more powerful, like, as the run goes on here, as you upgrade your sword. I mean, normally in the game you upgrade your sword. We're not really going to be doing that this run. Alright. And now we're going to go and talk to the Magma over here, in front of the broken bridge. This is actually a very important Magma to talk to. This Magma will set a specific scene flag that we will want to use for later, so... good that we get that. Also, Link is going to walk around in circles here. Saves absolutely no time, but if you can walk around in circles during a cutscene, why not do it?
There's a plot-relevant character right there.
That is true. We did just see Impa.
We'll see her a few times, but not for very good reasons.
Alright, so now we're going to save, and we're going to die once more. It is actually faster to die into lava, into a void, or in water, than it is to die on land. So any chance we get to do that, we will be doing that. Alright, so for this iteration of Back in Time, I'm going to be performing reverse bit magic, specifically on the scene flag of pushing the gravestone to open up the Skyloft shed at night. So to have that happen, I first need to make it nighttime. So I'm going to be running over to this house over here, and we will be sleeping tonight. Residents on Skyloft are very nice. Pretty much any of them will just allow you to take a nap in their bed whenever you want. Alright, now for nighttime Skyloft, I specifically need to make sure that I load with file 3 here, instead of any other files, otherwise the game's gonna crash again. And then up here, I will be starting file 1 just as I push in this gravestone. And this is going to take that scene flag of pushing the gravestone, and it's going to take it and apply it to my first file. But because my first file is saved in the Elden region, the specific flag that we just set is going to be applied to Elden Volcano instead of Skyloft, right? And again, scene flags mean different things on each map that Link can go on. So on the Elden Volcano map, the scene flag that we set actually means that the Earth Temple is now open. So we will not be needing to collect any key pieces to get into the Earth Temple here, once we finally make our way up.
Well, now we get time for Jess to tell us a little bit about Feeding America.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. Feeding America is a... Sorry, I lost you for a second.
You're good.
Feeding America is a fabulous organization. In the coronavirus, 50 million people may face hunger in the U.S. during 2020, including 17 million children. Feeding America is the largest national domestic hunger relief organization, and it services a network of food banks, pantries, and meal programs that serve every community in the United States. 40 million people, including 12 million children and 7 million seniors. The Feeding America network provides 4.3 billion meals annually and helps 1 in 7 Americans facing hunger to live more secure and stable lives.
Alright, and now we've arrived on the Just Sayin' cutscene. Pretty infamous cutscene within the Skyward Sword speedrunning community. Not because it's particularly relevant for the run, but just because I guess people like it. Not really sure, to be quite honest. Alright, so earlier I said that the Earth Temple door was open, although it looks closed right now. But it's okay, because that's only visual. Once we approach the Earth Temple door, we're immediately going to start the Entering into Earth Temple cutscene. Here we are in Earth Temple. At the beginning of Earth Temple here, the game normally expects you to have the beetle, which is the dungeon item from the Skyview Temple, but we do not have the beetle. And we normally need it to cut down a rope that's used to lower down this bridge over the lava moat. So what instead I'm going to be doing is I'm going to once again be using my Skyward Strike, but I'm going to lure this Keese over here so that the Keese gives me a trajectory that I can use to have the Skyward Strike hit the rope for me. Because normally you can't, like, change the trajectory of your Skyward Strikes. They're normally just going to go straight forward. But with targeting enemies, you can change the trajectory. So that allows us to skip the beetle right there. And I need to avoid this Lizalfos. Didn't try to attack me. And then as I blow up that bomb flower to have the rock roll over here, I'm gonna intentionally jump into the lava to lose some health. Because I will be wanting to perform back in time again. And it's easier to die at 1 heart than 3 hearts, so. In the Earth Temple, this is normally the dungeon where you go to obtain the bombs, but as I said before, we're not going to be getting pretty much any of the items that you can get on the B wheel in this game. And that includes the bombs. And part of the reason for that is because we skipped getting the slingshot is normally what unlocks the B wheel itself. But if the B wheel isn't unlocked and you try to get a B wheel item, the game is actually just going to soft lock. So it's unfortunately not going to be possible for us to get any more items in the game now. At least ones that apply to the B wheel specifically. So we're going to be going into the Knight Academy here for this back in time. I'm going to be performing reverse bit magic with Pippet's text over here. On Pippet's 6th text box, I will start my file. Or 7th text box, excuse me. And this is going to specifically set the scene flag for the bridge having been raised. Although, of course, the bridge doesn't look raised right now. That's because we need to reload the area, so we're gonna die again. And then we will see that the bridge has been raised, and we have successfully skipped the whole boulder rolling section of the Earth Temple. But we can get on to the last part. So we have a little alcove here that we can restore our stamina in. Wait for the next boulders to roll by. There isn't an alcove up on this next slope that we have to restore our stamina in, but there's actually a technique we can use called Stutter Sprinting, which will allow us to completely climb up the slope without needing a place to rest. If I just repeatedly press the A button so that Link transitions between sprinting and not sprinting, you can conserve your stamina enough to make it all the way up here, without needing to do the puzzle that normally blows up rocks to make an alcove. Alright, now we can go over to get the boss key. The last boss key we're going to be getting in this run. And of course, we also just have to get the boss key because it is what opens up the path to the boss door at all. So even if we were able to, like, get past, or, like, we wouldn't be able to get over here even if we didn't pick up the boss key. Just place in the boss key for the orientation puzzle. The puzzles that we have in this game with the boss keys, they can be done fairly consistently because the key always starts at the same orientation each time. So for each of the boss keys in this game, I have, like, a certain motion with the Wiimote memorized, so that, like, I hold the Wiimote in a certain orientation and then just flick it to be straight up again, and that will always put the key into the correct position. All right. Now it's time for our good buddy Scaldera. So we don't have any bombs as an item right now, which means that we have to be a little bit creative with how we defeat Scaldera. Thankfully, the arena that we fight Scaldera in does happen to give us bomb flowers as an item. They're situated at the very back of the arena, so what essentially we have to do is we have to lure Scaldera all the way up the arena, and then use the bomb flowers to, like, throw into his mouth to be able to stun him and deal damage to him. But first we have to wait for Girahim to monologue, as villains do.
There's no skipping this one.
There is no skipping this one. Alright, so turn around and immediately run away. Alright, so we'll just wait here for Scaldera to come back up. Then once Scaldera gets close enough, I can throw this bomb, pick up another one, and then roll it down the arena. And if the timing works out, Scaldera should eat it up right as it gets to him. Do a very specific amount of damage and then begin running away again. Hopefully Scaldera's RNG will be nice and he won't try to immediately come up too far. Okay, that was very good. And then do this once more with throwing the bomb and then rolling it down the arena. This time I will be doing 2 Skyward Strikes and a spin attack to deal a lot of damage as fast as we possibly can. And then I'm going to be running behind Scaldera and taking damage so that Scaldera tries to immediately roll down the arena again. And this time I can actually stun Scaldera with a Skyward Strike, or at least I thought I would be able to. Try that again. That might actually be kind of bad. Basically, with how fast I damaged Scaldera previously, I should have made it so that the invulnerability timer didn't run out on the previous cycle, but if this doesn't work, I'll have to die and retry again. Okay, yeah, so unfortunately, not quite sure how that failed, but I will have to die here, because it's actually not possible to complete the fight as it is right now.
It's already pretty impressive, and like that one bomb flower is positioned in such a way that you can still kill Scaldera without the bomb bag.
Yeah, it is true.
It's absolute. It has to be one of those things that's like circumstance. There's no way Nintendo would have taken the time to place that exactly right. I also probably wouldn't ever consider anybody would roll it down.
Yeah, it is extremely convenient that it just happens to work out like that. Right, because if that didn't work out and we needed to get the bomb bag, then we wouldn't be able to do the entire sequence at the beginning where we skipped the slingshot or any of that other stuff.
Right, right. Again, to everybody watching right now, thank you for being here. Just a reminder to make a donation if you can to Feeding America. The link to the Tiltify page is posted all over on the MomoCon Twitch page. All the donations go to Feeding America. And if you enter $5, you're entered in to win the prize that is being given away here during this segment specifically. And if you can up it to 20, you get entered in to the Vertigear chair giveaway, which would be an excellent thing to win. And right now, I'd say, all things considered, we haven't really had a ton of donations during this segment. So getting your $5 in, you have a pretty dang high chance of winning it. Maybe not as high as what happened with Scaldera there, but
yeah, still a pretty good chance, I would imagine.
Yes, very, very much so.
Alright, so this time we actually saved at the statue in front of the boss room, so if this happens again, we won't have to climb up the slopes a second time or third time. Unfortunately, we do have to hear Girahim monologue again, so we'll go through this.
Well, Girahim is monologuing. Also, you've probably seen it come up about every 5 minutes here on the stream, but we have a reminder going out. If you're enjoying this run, any of the runs that Zeldathon crew here is doing during MomoCon's Let's Get Digital event, we're doing our own charity marathon at the end of the month, starting December 26th. It's a 7-day marathon. We're gonna have games, music, like the Carlos segment that we had, the Insane in the Rain music segment. We have artwork, we do game shows, we do all sorts of crazy stuff during our marathons. So feel free to check us out. We're Zeldathon on pretty much every social media except Twitter. Zeldathon's with an S there. Dimnus, did you know we're on TikTok now?
Oh, really?
Yeah, most of it's Among Us clips, and we've gone very viral from it too. People like Among Us clips.
Among Us is popular right now.
Very much so. Oh.
Unfortunately, Scaldera was a little bit aggressive there, so I'm gonna have to wait for him to come back up again.
He did a fast run at us.
Alright. Nope. Alright. This might still work. Actually, no, that's not going to work because Link just rolled the bomb into the wall.
No.
Yeah, Scaldera's being a little bit aggressive right here.
I believe in the world of the speedrunning community at this point, what we'd say is it's time to reset.
Yes, that is what we would say. Okay, we finally got the bomb in his mouth again. Let's try to see if we can let the invulnerability timer not go out this time.
I'll be right back.
Okay, that was probably just late. Avoid the fireballs now. Alright, so if we did this correctly, we should be able to hit the Skyward Strike. No? Alright, well, we're not doing something right, but I don't know what we're not doing right, which isn't a good sign, but something incorrect is happening. So we will unfortunately just kind of have to try again. I wonder if it's because I was running behind Scaldera instead of just walking. I guess next time we'll just try walking back instead of running, because I don't think I've ever tried to run behind Scaldera the way that I specifically tried to do so today for some reason. So perhaps that might be the reason.
Oh, I'm back, and we're back on Scaldera. Did something happen?
Well, no, yeah, the same thing happened again where I wasn't able to Skyward Strike the eye during, like, the final rage phase of the fight. I'm still not quite sure why it didn't work that time. Oh, no, I know. Nintendo patched it. That's what happened.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, there's one thing that I've been doing which might have been affecting it, like a specific way that I was running. We'll try not running the way that I was this time. So we throw the bomb, backflip, pick it up again, roll it down. We do a spin attack and a single slash this time, wherever the eyeball happens to appear. We run back up. Scaldera begins running up again with us. Hopefully isn't too aggressive this time. The bomb is now on Scaldera. Okay, that works. Hopefully Scaldera eats this. And then I do 2 Skyward Strikes and a spin attack. And then walk behind Scaldera. And we get damage. Scaldera runs down. And then this Skyward Strike should be able to hit Scaldera. And it's not. I'll wait one more cycle just to see if it was too late. Yeah, there's clearly something I'm not doing correct here. And it would be really great if I could figure out what that was. So that the run could actually continue. Yeah.
Huh. That is very odd. Is this a this has never happened before type moment, or?
Well, I mean, I have had the situation happen before where I haven't been able to like, hit the Skyward Strike on Scaldera. But usually, when it happens, I know exactly why it happened. Right now, I have no idea why it's happening, is the problem.
And Scaldera has no, like, refight in the game, so, like, there's only one instance of Scaldera.
Yes, that's
So
true.
we have no cross-pollination of weird Scaldera flags or something. Scaldera is Scaldera is Scaldera. The more I say Scaldera, it's sounding less and less like a word or a boss. Perhaps some sort of medicine.
Let's see. We're going to resort to the age-old tactic of watch the video.
Oh,
if it doesn't work
that's
this
my
time.
favorite thing to do. Shout outs to the whole Zelda speedruns community for your compiling of all of the hit strategies. Or are we watching our own world record right now, Janice?
Yes.
If you're gonna have to learn on the fly, learn from the best, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Never. I think I know what I was doing wrong.
Which is?
I was doing... Well, okay, I missed picking up the bomb there for one. I'm supposed to do a Skyward Strike and then 2 spin attacks, not 2 Skyward Strikes and then a spin attack.
Ah, I would do it, wouldn't it?
Alright.
So if anyone out there is wondering how specific these games can be.
Yes, that was the problem, so we did get the Skyward Strike off there. And then we'll be able to get the Skyward Strike off this time too, and this should be the final piece of damage, just like that. Alright.
And the famous words, first try, are here.
Yes, first try. Yeah,
This
no,
is Momo % world record, apparently, so congratulations on... You haven't finished the run yet, but...
but it will be.
Caldera world record. Can we do some Master Sword attempts of Wind Waker?
Well, I mean, yeah, Master Sword time in Wind Waker is about the length of a Skyward Sword any % run.
Is it still? Have we not found any way to speed that up at all? I mean,
no,
it used to be closer to 2.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to get into Tower of the Gods. So.
You got to beat all the dungeons.
Alright. We may have lost 10 minutes, but that's okay. My estimate accounts for this. This is why we do not put our PVs as our estimate for runs.
On behalf of marathon schedulers everywhere, please don't. We'd rather have too much time in the schedule than not enough. Because nothing would be worse than having a run caught off. Like, all right, sorry guys, we're out of time right before the final boss or something.
Right.
The anti-climax.
Alright, so we finally finished Earth Temple and got the Amber Tablet. So we're going to be saving right here. And then I'm going to be using reverse bit magic to put the Lanayru Light Pillar onto my first file. Just like how at the beginning of the game I did that with the Farron Pillar. The only reason we're doing this is because it just so happens to be a few seconds faster than going and placing the tablet normally. But it also gives us a chance to copy our first file to our third file without losing time, because we have to go through back in time anyway. So
We talked a lot about Lanayru and why it's important for us to get there. So what makes Lanayru so important or different than Eldin or Farron?
Alright, so Lanayru has... Well, first off, Lanayru has the harp. As far as we know, it is not possible to beat this game without the harp. So we need to go to Lanayru so that we can get the harp. And if you remember, MC, this game also has a boss rush mode.
That's true.
At the Lanayru Gorge with our good friend the Thunder Dragon.
That boss rush, I had to do it for the 100% challenge I did. I don't like the boss rush. I had to be the imprisoned 10,000 times too many.
Well, then you would actually be a very big fan of Skyward Sword any %, because we actually want to go to the boss rush to lose to some specific bosses.
Oh, I'm really good at that. This one sounds like it's tailor-made for me.
Yeah. So basically, the course of action once we get to Lanayru is we're going to be... we're first going to get the harp as fast as possible, which is actually pretty fast. It's only going to take us a few minutes after getting in to get the harp. And then we will be making our way to the Lanayru Gorge so that we can go and access our good buddy, the Thunder Dragon. Alright, so we put the Lanayru pillar on file 1 here. And now we can go and fly over to it. I'll also need my route notes up once again.
Did we get any more donations in there, Jess? I think I'm seeing one.
Yep, we got one in there. And hey, if anybody wants to donate $5, your chances of winning a game are obscenely high. So I'm just saying.
Was there a donation comment to be read with that one?
Oh, we got another one actually, right while we were saying those words. The first donation that came in, GMC, it almost sounds like you have experience doing this kind of thing before.
I don't know which we're talking about, losing to bosses or doing commentary, but yeah, I have some experience with both.
This donation does not have a comment though.
Gotcha. Thank you both for your donations. Keep them coming.
Alright. So normally, in Lanayru, you first need to go through the Lanayru mine, and then you need to go through the Lanayru desert. You need to activate 3 specific nodes to open up the Lanayru mining facility. Go through the Lanayru mining facility, and then you'll finally be able to get the harp. But we're not going to do that.
Are we going to go into the mining facility at all?
Technically, for a half second, yes.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to be loading file 3 here, and then I will be bonking into this tree, which is going to open up the shed on Skyloft over here. As trees do.
I forgot that that's a legitimate gameplay mechanic.
Because past the shed, we have another great character, the Demon Man Betro. And Betro has a very useful scene flag that we want. So we will be going to talk to Betro now.
I'm very impressed by your ability to run down that wooden walkway
without falling off.
With a logo in front of you as well.
Yeah, usually if you happen to fail that there, usually you'll accidentally run up the short fence and then fall down and then have to go through the animation of one of the Skyloft Knights saving you.
Oh yeah.
Waste some time.
Be more careful out there.
Do a jump slash. Alright, so Betro has a very long sequence of text here, and we need to get to the very end of it. This is one of the places where Japanese saves a lot of time over English. Just text-wise. I believe there's actually a video of a race that happened between 2 Skyward Sword runners. One was on English, one was on Japanese. And the English runner entered Betro 20 seconds ahead of the Japanese runner. But then the Japanese runner finished Betro 30 seconds before the English runner.
Wow.
So, there's a big difference there between languages. Also, here's a dead robot. Very nice.
But I'm glad we confirmed. Is that also a scene flag that we wanted, or was that an accident?
No, that is... the reason we talked to the robot is because we need to cause another scene flag change if we want the scene flag we used reverse bit magic with to actually get applied to the area in this instance.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's similar to the tree then.
Yes.
The old tree bonk. The first tree bonk, not the one that opened the door, but the one that applied the sea flags. Oh, Skyward Sword. What a wonderful collection of mechanics you are.
Alright, so the RBM we did back there has given us the ability to land at the statue in the Temple of Time. Which is normally only a statue you're supposed to access after Lanayru Mining Facility. But what we can do now is we can kind of just enter into the mining facility from the backside. And then we can go right back out. And this will start the cutscene that gives us the harp.
Oh, that was our 1 second in Lanayru.
That was our 1 second in Lanayru Mining Facility, yes.
Good dungeon, everybody, good dungeon.
Yeah. It was a very good individual level speedrun right there. Alright, so there was...
Does that count as IL?
No, that doesn't count as IL, unfortunately. Yeah, so now that we got the harp, we're going to go back to the mines, because it's a lot easier to get to the Lanayru Gorge from the mines than it is from the main desert. Also, to answer the chat question of, are we going to see my man Groose? There will be Groose in this run. We'll actually be seeing Groose a few times. So you can definitely look forward to that. Alright, so back to the mines. So
We
there's...
watched the cutscene that got us the harp, so we do have the harp now, right?
Yes. Thankfully, that cutscene you can skip, so we did skip that cutscene. Alright, so here we're going to be doing another technique called a bit warp. Previously in the run, we've been doing a lot of reverse bit warps. And a reverse bit warp is when you're in back in time, you start your file, and then you load another area in back in time to essentially transfer, or to essentially load your file in that area. But a regular bit warp, which we're going to be doing right now, is one where we're going to be loading our file in the area it's saved in, but we're going to be using the coordinates from a Skyloft statue instead of the coordinates that we actually have on our save file. So this is very easy. We just want to start and save our file at the same time. So we're going to go over to this bird statue, and then we will hit start and save at the same time. We will now get the Skyloft bird statue coordinates onto the Lanayru Mines map, which is going to place us way out of bounds over here. I'm talking like we have to run for a solid minute to get back in bounds.
This is not an area that has ever been vanilla accessible in Skyward Sword, but it is really interesting and kind that they did put collision on this ground here.
Yeah, for whatever reason in both Farron and in Lanayru and Eldin, there's just huge swaths of out of bounds collision that you're never supposed to be able to get to for some reason, but it's very useful in this run. Because using this out-of-bounds collision, we can run back to the entrance to the Lanayru caves. Now, normally you're only supposed to be able to enter the caves from the mines if you have the claw shot, but we're not getting the claw shot, so this is our only option.
I see another donation came in there, Jess.
Indeed. Report Turret donated and says this run is super informative. I love it.
I'm glad you're enjoying the run.
That was $20. You're in on that chair giveaway. Congratulations. I'm congratulating you. You haven't won it yet, but congratulations on being entered.
Alright, so thankfully, if you come to the Lanayru Caves without the claw shots, there's the Goron Golo will not be blocking the entrance to the Lanayru Gorge, which is very convenient. And now that we're here at the Lanayru Gorge, it is time to save and die, which we can conveniently do with our friend the Bomb Cactus.
And into the pit for faster death.
Yes, into the pit for faster death indeed. It's very convenient that we can just set that up like that. Alrighty, now it's time to once again go to Farron and back in time. We're going to be going to Farron here because the specific scene flag that we want to use reverse bit magic on, we can't get to on Skyloft in back in time, so we instead have to go to another map that also has the scene flag. And I wanted to save my file, not cancel there. Alright, so saving file 2 and back in time here will give me the ability to call my Loftwing so that I can actually enter the sky and back in time. I'll make sure
If anybody out there is like a little confused on some of the trick names and stuff and why they're called what they are, don't worry. We've been at this Zelda speedrunners since Reverse Bottle Adventure. We've been heavy into the confusing trick names.
Yeah, unfortunately, the back in time trick name is not super intuitive.
Yeah.
But it was found back in 2007, so it had to have an unintuitive name given to it. By Master Link X, who found it.
Is there a gymnast skip in any game? Do we have a gymnast skip out there?
I don't think so. I believe there was one time I tried to name a specific jump in Wind Waker the Gym Jump, but it turns out it's only possible on English, so not something that's really ever used anywhere.
But it does exist.
It does exist, yes.
Which room is it? I don't know it.
It is a specific jump with the rope swinging cycle in the pirate ship where you get the bombs.
Oh, okay. So the second one.
Yeah. Alrighty, so MC, you see this rock in the distance over here?
I do.
It's gonna blow up when I bonk into this wall in 3, 2, 1.
Well, it sure did. And a green rupee's here, too. Was the green rupee setting scene flags?
Making the green rupee appear set a scene flag.
Gotcha.
Alright, but getting rid of that rock is very important because if we want to access the boss rush mechanic of Lanayru, we do need to bring the minecart escort minecart all the way out to its final position here.
And usually that's a long auto-scroller, and I assume we're not doing the long auto-scroller?
We will be doing the last minute of the long auto-scroller.
Oh, okay, okay.
We will be skipping all of the part that normally requires we actually use items. Thankfully.
Right.
And to do that, I actually have to do another instance of reverse bit magic here. This time, I'm specifically setting a flag. It's only supposed to be a temporary flag, but it specifically tells the Lanayru Gorge map that the minecart is on the last leg of the minecart escort. So it's ultimately what allows us to skip the rest of that. Okay, yeah, so I need to enter the Farron pillar with file 1. And then I need to select file 3 during the fade out. Oh, we are mad drifting over here with the skydiving. This is not where we want to go.
Wii remote drift, I can't believe it.
Well, yeah, it's especially difficult when skydiving because there's no visual cue you have for like where you're going unless you can specifically see the pillar on screen. So it can make it a little bit scary sometimes, wondering whether or not you're actually skydiving in the right direction. This time I'm going to make the Goron text appear, and select file 2 before going into the sealed grounds. Backflipping back into the behind the temple area, because I need the door that leads to Farron Woods to actually be open, which it's not when I load in like that. And then I need to load Farron with file 2. Making sure we got the correct file in our notes here. Alright, so on this specific lair of Farron Woods, Machi has not been saved by the Bokoblins, or has not been saved from the Bokoblins yet. Normally when you get to Farron Woods the first time, you're supposed to save Machi from these Bokoblins that are coming up here. But because we never did Farron Woods for the first time, Machi's not saved. That's okay, because now we can use the power of the Skyward Strike to get rid of the Bokoblins. And now we can talk to Machi. And we specifically want to start our first file as Machi's text is scrolling across the screen here. And this is going to set the temporary flag that will correspond to the minecart being at the last leg of the escort. Although the minecart's not going to start moving until we actually go near to like where the minecart escort begins on the last leg. So we are now going to have to do another bit warp to get out of bounds in the Lanayru Gorge. So that we can walk out of bounds to get there.
And a little bit of PowerPoint going on here on our side.
Yes, I believe that is indeed my fault with the dropped frames, unfortunately.
Luckily, our audio is coming through crystal clear. Looks like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
it's not looking particularly good right now, unfortunately.
Everybody, please, please send your power to internet service providers of America. Actually, don't do that. They have too much power.
Yeah, yesterday, my dad actually did end up, like, changing our, or not our... Supposedly, we didn't change the internet plan, but we changed the cable plan. But we did have to do, resets on each of the, modems that we have.
Gotcha.
So there might have been something that happened there.
Is it still going on your end?
Yeah. We have a great upload speed of 165 kilobytes per second.
Okay, so that is a second per 5 seconds per frame or something.
Now it looks like it's... Oh, okay, it jumped up for a second again.
Yeah, I saw that on my side too. So everybody at home, please bear with our Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword speedrun PowerPoint. We'll be back in full motion in a moment here.
While we're waiting on full motion, we're pretty close to 500. If you guys can get over 500, we'll give out some new codes.
What type of codes? From Xseed or?
We've got a huge variety of game codes. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and I just want to shower all of these lovely people with game codes.
So it sounds like we need about $29 more to hit that $500 goal there, folks. So please get those donations in.
Someone donates specifically the $29. I'll make them their own prize pack myself of multiple items.
Hey, there you go. Custom prize.
Like OBS is trying to improve the situation. It keeps on spiking back to normal bit rate, but then just falls back down to 165 exactly.
Yeah, on my end it disappeared.
You want me to try restarting the stream?
Wouldn't be the worst idea. I'd say go for it if you have a minute.
Oh no, yeah, I'm waiting for the minecart.
That was not a confident. All right,
Oh.
we're going now.
Yeah,
looks like
okay.
Link's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helped out. And just like that, everybody, we did the PowerPoint trick, which allowed us to get the minecart to the end of its track, and now we're doing some more bit stuff, right?
Yes. Now it's time for one of the more difficult instances of reverse bit magic. For this next instance of reverse bit magic, I have to start my file and then strum the harp at a specific time to get this next flag to work correctly.
Oh, we got that $29.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very much. That was report turret looks like with the last $29, which means we are at $500. Everyone, thank you so much for helping benefit Feeding America. We're helping out.
Good $5.
Ah. Thank you, Mom. So where are we heading right now, Jim?
Now we're heading to meet Groose in the Farron Woods.
Oh, so this is when we do go. We get to have our Groose content that everybody is seeking.
Yes. Make sure we specifically go into Farron with file 1 here. Of course, Groose is going to have the title screen logo over him, but that's okay. Alright, so watching this Groose cutscene is going to set a flag that will change... Oh, excuse me. That will change the state of the map inside the sealed temple, which is what we want. Because we do need to enter into the sealed temple on layer 2, since that is the layer where we can learn how to play the harp with Impa.
This may surprise some folks out there, but the end of the run's pretty close.
Yep.
I know you might be thinking about the other 3 temples that we didn't see at all. We only saw 1 frame of one of them. You might be thinking about Tad Tones. You might be thinking about... I mean, we did see the auto-scroller section. You might be thinking about the stealth section in Elden. You're thinking about all these great things. But right now we're going to be learning how to play the harp.
Right, so as I said before, I'm going to go through most of the harp tutorial with Impa. What I need to do for this reverse bit magic is I need to start my file and then perform the very last strum of the harp tutorial at the same time.
This is going to be very precise. Very precise strumming, everyone.
Alright, so if we did this correctly, Fi will talk to us right here. Okay, very good. Okay, so this specific text that we get from Fi right there is actually what saves the Thunder Dragon, because we don't have the Life Tree Seedling, so we actually had to RBM the Thunder Dragon to be healthy again. And now we can successfully go to our boss rush mode that we so eagerly want to get to.
I know we're going to have a rush of things coming up here, so do you want to read that donation out, Jess?
Yep, absolutely. Hey, Jim, just a quick question. You run Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, and Ocarina of 3D. If you were to combine all 3 games, which dungeon, whether casually or speedrun-wise, would be your top favorite? Keep up the good work.
Ooh. I feel like I'd have to think about that one a little bit, but, probably the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time.
Great
I would have to go with. Spirit Temple has lots of cool things you get to do in speedruns, and good music. Speaking of cool things that we do in speedruns, we're gonna die to the Imprisoned One's feet right now. Or at least try to.
Thank you so much, Argillan. That's extremely generous of you. Thanks for $145. I would have the whole crew clap, but Gymnast is dying to a foot.
There we go. Got the game over screen. Alright, so dying to the Imprisoned One right there was actually extremely important, because normally when you first access the boss rush portion of this game, you're actually a lot farther into the game than we normally are right now, right? You've beaten a few more temples and stuff. So the game actually makes some flag assumptions about what your flags are when you begin and end the boss rush. For certain bosses. So specifically for the Imprisoned One fight, when we loaded it in, the game attempted to take away the story flag for having beaten the Ancient Cistern, and then once the fight was over after we lost, it gave us back the story flag that we actually never got for having beaten the Ancient Cistern. So the game thinks that we've beaten the Ancient Cistern now. And we will be having similar effects here with the second Imprisoned. Once we die to the second Imprisoned, the game is going to now believe that we've both beaten the Fire Sanctuary and have also beaten the second Imprisoned. So ironically, dying to the second imprisoned sets the flag for us having beaten him, because normally you have to beat him in the main story before you can access him in the boss rush. And those are the two important flags that we were looking for. We were looking for having beaten the Fire Sanctuary and having beaten the second imprisoned. Because those are two of the triggers that are necessary for being able to open the Gate of Time in the Sealed Grounds. So for our next Back in Time trick, we will be opening up the Gate of Time in Back in Time. Going to be exciting. I do have to fly back to Skyloft first, though, because Skyloft has some specific scene flags that we need to open up the Gate of Time. This specifically goes back to when we saved the Remlet all the way at the beginning of the run. That comes back into play here to help us open the Gate of Time early.
This is classic speedrun foreshadowing. We've seen this literary device used many a times in the past. You remember when we saved the Remlet? Well, it all was for a reason.
Okay, so because we don't have any easy way to die on our first file, we're instead going to load our third file, which is, remember we loaded our third file, saved back at Elden Volcano? And then we can die in the lava here. So that we can activate our second to last instance of Back in Time. Alright, so for this instance, we're also going to once again be having a nice conversation with Groose. It's going to be the exact same conversation that we had earlier. Once again, saving file 2 so that I can call my Loftwing in Back in Time.
This run is very informative for some people who don't know what game you're playing.
It is true.
I've never once considered that. Like, it's so like it's just barely a logo to me anymore. It's just like a thing I know. But for some people who come there, it's like, man, they're really advertising this game hard.
Right. Once again, going down to the Farron Pillar. I was indeed drifting left once again.
I had such a hard time when I first played this game because I sat too close to my TV, and my my Wii remote was not it wasn't the proper distance, so I was not getting the proper motion control experience, you know?
Yeah, there's like a lot of outside factors that can affect like whether or not the motion controls work well or not. One thing that was actually messing me up for a while was the sunlight that was coming through a window in the room. Because
what was it hitting the infrared a little bit?
Yeah, the infrared coming in through the window was like the Wii remote was picking that up, and it was like, oh yes, your forward direction is 90 degrees to the left of where the screen actually is.
Man, this room's too infrared. I need to play my speedrun in complete darkness.
Alright, so this time I'm going to be bit saving file 1 just up here in the Sealed Temple. And then I'm going to walk into the circle here and just receive the Ballad of the Goddess.
We got it.
And then I'm going to be starting my first file and then performing a Skyward Strike onto the Gate of Time. So now the Gate of Time is considered to be open on this file, which we can see if I turn around just like that. Oh, now the statue's covering it. Great place for the camera to be right here.
Sorry to interrupt, but we just had a really big donation of $1,000. Thanks, Gannon.
Oh.
Gannon, thank you so much for that. That is extremely generous.
It is
Thank you
extremely generous.
so much.
I will clap for that during my loading screen.
Which one? All of them?
Yeah.
Feel like clapping.
Clap for all of the loading screens thus far for the rest of the game.
Man, this is a bad GDQ crowd ideas. we start a Twitter account, bad GDQ ideas, clap for every loading screen.
I do not need this bad idea in my mind. Why must you do this to me, MC?
The return of IRL GDQs will be great.
Oh, I'm sure the next GDQ that happens is gonna be a party.
Yeah, the first IRL GDQ bet.
All right.
Oh,
So
thank you again, Ganon.
For this back in time instance, right, bit save file 2, okay? I needed to specifically check this Upper Academy statue while file 1 was selected. Essentially what that does, it will allow me to steal the scene flag of that bird statue and keep it for whenever I load file 1 again. So, because I'll be needing to load that specific scene flag when I get to the Farron region again. Alright, so one more back in time trip to Farron. Hopefully we're not drifting wildly again. Usually I end up drifting left, so I try to correct for that by aiming a little bit to the right.
Now here's your next big idea, Jim. You want a good donation goal for future runs? Attach a GoPro to your Wii remote.
I feel like this might be a little bit hard to swing the Wii remote with.
That's part of the donation goal, Jim.
Actually, yeah, I suppose that's true, huh?
This is hard mode here. We'll find a tiny camera, even tinier than a GoPro, to attach to it. So we have GoPro, Wii remote.
GoPro
cam.
Wii remote, yeah.
It would just be like a camera shot of your sensor bar basically for the entire run. We'll get a nice camera that's like good 60 FPS, so it's not too shaky and bad.
All right.
Train with a weighted Wii remote.
So coming up
time
here,
for big thing.
yes, I'm going to start my first file, skip this cutscene, and I just saved 75 minutes by doing that. What we specifically did is we used reverse bit magic to set the scene flag for the door to Hylia's realm from Hylia's temple to be open, right? So normally the first time you come through the Gate of Time, you pretty much just talk to Impa, meet Zelda, and get the True Master Sword. We will be getting the True Master Sword because it's much better to fight the final bosses with the True Master Sword than with the Goddess Sword. But normally the door that leads to the outside world in the past, to Hylia's realm, is not supposed to be open until you've beaten Skykeep and, successfully gone through the entire Song of the Hero quest. But because we can just set the bit for that door to be open, we can skip the entire Song of the Hero quest and the entire dungeon of Skykeep and save 75 minutes.
This door here it was the Holy Grail door before.
Door was the Holy Grail.
That door to open.
Alright, so now we're in the final 5 minutes of the game here. We first have to tackle the Horde. So basically for the Horde, Girahim is going to spawn in some monsters for us to fight at certain intervals around the spiral here. For this first fight we have 5 blue-capped Bokoblins, who hopefully will make a quick work of. Yeah, my sword got blocked a lot, and unfortunately took a little bit of damage there. But thankfully 2 hearts isn't too bad. As long as I can not take any more damage, we'll be okay. For this next fight coming up here, Girahim is going to try to spawn in 3 Moblins with shields. And one of the Moblins is going to spawn on the left side here, and if I run up to it correctly, I can actually use its shield to run up. Okay, well, I was supposed to run up and over the wall, but unfortunately I ended up targeting not the Moblin, but instead one of the Bokoblins that was behind the Moblin. So it looks like we'll have to be doing this the regular way this time. Usually do not have to fight
Horde
this
normally is actually a challenge with this many hearts.
Yeah, it is entirely possible that I will die here. But we will do our best. We instead get to see a fight that we normally never get to see with the fully blue Bokoblin. It's this custom Bokoblin that I believe only appears here in the game, and it'll basically just charge at Link at super high speeds. The strategy for fighting the blue Bokoblin is we essentially want to try and quick spin the Boo Bokoblin and knock it over the ledge. Because if the Bokoblin gets knocked over the ledge, it will instantly die. Otherwise, it takes, like, way too many hits to try and get rid of it.
Takes a lot of damage.
Alright, and... Okay, good. So we got him over. And we took more damage. I couldn't get past the wall there. Alright, 1 heart for the rest of Horde. And the entire rest of the game. See if we can make something of this.
I was about to say, oh, it's okay, you can get a heart drop, but no,
No.
hero mode doesn't give heart drops.
Yeah. It does give fairies, but there are no fairies here. Alright, so hopefully I do not get hit here.
Ooh, stealth, though.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That was a bit slow, but we didn't die, so... Good. Alright, so I'm gonna be... running... Normally I wouldn't go this far out, but I do need to avoid these last arrows right here. Alright, so we did make it to the end. Girahim's now going to spawn in a huge number of Bokoblins that are all going to try to gather around me. I'm going to try to get rid of all of them with a Skyward Strike spin attack, which has a much wider radius than a regular spin attack does. And hopefully we don't get hit. We'll let them gather up. Okay, I couldn't quite get into the middle of all of them. But we did that time, okay. Now we can sit in the evil energy that's still here. Alright, now that we got to Girahim 3, it means we don't have to fight the Horde again, which is very nice. Because if we die here, then we'll just be able to immediately start this fight again, so it's not too big of an issue.
It'll be unfortunate, but not the most unfortunate.
Yes. So just gotta make sure we do not slash in the directions that Girahim would counter us with. And then we also fall down with Girahim to the next platform, because that's faster than doing the attack, or doing the final blow all the way from the top of the previous platform.
I was watching one of your streams the other week, I guess it was, I think, and you got hit and died to Girahim, and I was like so sad because it was a really good run too.
Oh yeah, I did die recently to this fight.
I think he kicked you. Is that what happened?
Yeah,
He got you.
Also, now Girahim stands in the evil energy. This is great foreshadowing for the fact that Girahim is an evil character.
No other part of his appearance is signifying that.
Also, yeah, the evil energy kind of causes more lag than we would like. I guess because of how many particle effects it has to render, I suppose. Okay. Now we just gotta break the sword and then stab the chest 2 times. And that is it for Girahim 3. Alright, now MC, would you like me to fight this final boss of Skyward Sword with, without the use of vision?
Absolutely. Are you able to with your current audio situation?
I should be able to, yes.
Okay, then I say go for it. And for everybody out there, get your donations in. I'm gonna be quiet because we need full silence. Here we go.
I don't know if you can hear me, but there's a blanket over my head. Okay, I have no idea what happened there, but that was not how we intended to do that.
He did just whack you.
Yeah, no, normally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do 2 blocks followed by a quick spin. But I think what happened there is I did a slash quick spin instead, which does kind of completely mess up that sequence of events. But we'll try that again.
Yes, everybody, get your donations in. Last chance here. I think the 6 p.m. just rolled over, so I think we're closed on that giveaway, but I think a new one starts. All right, gonna be quiet.
Now this time we have 6 hearts, so I can take some damage from Demise if necessary. Quick spin that time. Well, that was extremely messy, but I guess we made it. Could be the lightning strike. Oh, I was too early. That's okay. Alright, there we go. And that is it.
Well done.
An extremely scuffed blind fight, but it
dead.
did work
That's
out
what matters.
eventually.
Oh, well done, Gymnast. Well done. Anything? Would you like to tell us where people can find you? Because we do have to move on.
Yeah, if you want to watch more Skyward Sword speedruns, you can follow me at twitch.tv/gymnast86, or you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com, or at MrGymnast86 is my handle. Someone took Gymnast86 when I was like 8 years old. Some reason, so I don't have that handle. But anyway, that's where you can find me. Thank you guys very much for coming out to watch this run. Hopefully you enjoyed some of it, even though there were definitely some scuffed parts of this run that I wasn't anticipating. But we did finish under estimate, so that's good.
Yes, thank you very much, Gymnast, and also thank you to Insane in the Rain Music for doing the pre-show. The Zeldathon crew will be back tomorrow during the Let's Get Digital event here with MomoCon. We'll be back again 4 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow we have some art with Kelly Selena, and Super Sonic is going to be bringing us some Mario, Sonic, and Animaniacs speedruns. So all sorts of fun speedruns tomorrow. But Let's Get Digital is continuing, as is their fundraiser for Feeding America. So we'll say goodbye for now, and thanks for watching our segment. Keep watching, lots of fun stuff to come.